This is the 411 on Leadership podcast coming to you live from the Great Wolf Lodge. And so my name is Steve Thomas, and to my right this time is John Campbell. John, how's everything going, sir?
It's going good. Excited to be here this morning on Monday with you and being able to talk leadership once again and do it on site at Great Wolf Lodge.
Yeah, excellent. Well, listen, we are going to be discussing today. We've been in the series entitled Success, Failures, and Lessons Learned in 2021. And we're going to focus today on the lesson of overcoming adversity. And quick stat, of Dale Carnegie research that we've done, we found that 72% of respondents have experienced one or more conditions in the past year that can be considered a form of adversity in the workplace. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and what we can do to overcome adversity as we're finishing off 2021 with our guest today. But before we do that, who brings us here today, John?
Well, we're always excited to be here. Obviously, Dale Carnegie, where you can always take a look at investing in your own personal leadership and development. But the podcast, because of our great friends at Sitch Radio, make sure you reach out to Brian at Sitch Radio to help you with all your podcast needs. You have a story to tell, and the world would like to hear that. So make sure you do that. And Steve, why are we at Great Wolf Lodge?
Well, listen, we are excited. If you noticed our awesome guest to the left of me, we are going to have Kit Gutierrez. She is the sales manager here at Great Wolf Lodge, as well as a business owner of More Marketing Team. She also is an executive board member of the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce. And so we are so excited, Kit, to have you here joining our discussion. And so, Kit, tell us a little bit about your leadership journey to this point, and why does overcoming adversity, how has that led to your success personally?
Actually, I would say that, first of all, hello, Great Wolf Lodge here, Southern California. I got to promote that, right?
We'll get them in. We'll make sure we'll learn a lot more about that first. Yes. Yeah, we'll make sure we do that.
Yes, but overcoming adversity, being here in the United States, I'm an immigrant. I came here in 98. And it's always about finding yourself, finding your dream, and going for it. It's not always the easy way out. You can't be complacent on things, because if you become complacent, then you become stagnant. Mm-hmm. But if you pursue and keep moving forward, that's where success begins. Like when I moved here from the Philippines. When I left the Philippines, I was already a director of sales at Century Imperial Palace Suites, which is based in Hong Kong. But, given that opportunity to go to the US, drop everything and get your suitcase and start all over again. Yeah. So I've pretty much done that from the Philippines to Hong Kong to the US, and then moved different states in the US. My last move was in New York. Okay. And then I came back
state,
here.
By the way.
Yeah. You guys and Florida. You guys have had several kind of backgrounds.
Yes.
We follow each other around the country.
Something like that. And And Great Wolf Lodge has been a blessing to me and to my family. So make the long story short, I'm here 3 years actually, November 5th. My 3-year anniversary here at the lodge.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Nice.
So as we look at what 2020 and 2021 have brought in the hospitality industry, I mean, that has been a huge challenge. I mean, no travel, right? You're not getting people traveling around the world or even in the States, but what does that look like? How was the impact? Let's back up and say, how did that impact you here at Great Wolf Lodge?
Well, of course, tremendous, especially the very first time that we heard that we're going to close. That was in April. Tears, friendship, hugs, and it's all just like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen to us? How's the family going to deal with this? Yeah. Our company has been so gracious to keep us up to date, from our president to our general manager to every director. they pretty much, one thing that is different from with the lodge is keeping our team informed about what is happening. It helped us grow together, and then they just took care of us. We still have a quarterly update from our president, Mr. Murray.
Okay.
And it helps us with where the lodge is going to move forward to. The resilience of the team and the management is really great. And that's why I will never stop being an advocate as an employee, as part of management of Great Wolf Lodge. It's an amazing company to work for.
One of the things that I got from this conversation so far, which is really the importance of communication. I mean, communicate. I mean, it may sound cliche, however, just the importance of just being in communication, and more specifically for management, senior management, to continually communicate and over communicate, especially as we're looking at getting through adversity. What does that look like? And making sure that all of the team is informed. And I hear that a lot of, through this conversation so far, is because we know how heavy, or how hard, I should say, the hospitality industry was hit this past year. And now that you're beginning to see some recovery as we're going through the lodge, we see more of that bustling activity that we're used to.
Full lobby.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Lobby,
Which is,
guests.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, which is great. But I think it goes back to how you all handled the adversity when it was there, which is, again, one of the things that you all have done, specifically senior management, is that you've always were communicating. More specifically, if I can add, you were always communicating, hey, what's the vision? What's the mission? Where are we trying to do? What are we trying to achieve? Where are we trying to go? If you mind, Kit, just speaking more about that, and how did that communication look like as your senior leaders were communicating to you, and as you were communicating to those that are working for you?
Well, one thing that is nice is that we had a plan. There were talking points, and then at the same time, especially when we came back in May 22nd, we were told that, as leaders, we have to work together. It doesn't matter if you are a sales manager. It doesn't matter whether you're a director. It doesn't matter whether you are in front office. We all work together. And one thing that I really am so happy that I got the chance to experience is when I came back to work, I started helping out at the water park.
Okay.
So, doing something that you're not used to, and you're not, should I say, it wasn't part of your duty, but working together and learning from that department, and then interacting with guests. It is just nice. You don't take off your badge, sweep the floor, pick up garbage, do housekeeping, flush all those toilets. It doesn't matter what it is. Just do it.
Yeah,
and you know what? At the end of the day, looking at it now, where it's November, it's almost Christmas. Wow, we did it. We did it all together. And it's one thing that is nice about this team, that we all glide together from a great leadership, and that leadership flows through every employee that's here. Like this morning when I walked in, I spoke to a guest, and she was just telling me that she's her and her entire family has always been at the lodge since we opened. And I'm like, what is it at the lodge that you keep coming back? And then she said, it's the people that work here, their sincerity when they say hello and they smile and ask you if there's anything that you need. That's all what it is all about. It's like giving guests that experience, that happiness that we bring to every guest that walks into our doorstep.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. And Steve and I are excited to be here on this Monday morning once again, live from Great Wolf Lodge in the Garden Grove, Anaheim, I know, right on the border. And just excited to have Kit Gutierrez with us, the sales manager here at Great Wolf Lodge. And if you, obviously, if you want to be a part of the conversation, we would like to hear from you. Make sure you comment, leave a message, and we'll try to get to that and have that as part of our conversation as we continue this Morning with Kit. And if you've never seen Kit before, she is full of energy, and it exemplifies what that means to be somebody who embraces not just hospitality, but in inspiring and encouraging people. And you can see from the conversations we're talking about overcoming adversity, you are excited about this next step. You're excited about what's coming ahead.
Definitely. By the way, just a quick go back.
Okay.
Sure.
Of course, with 2020, we've almost like been snatched out of that 15 months. Within that 15 months, I became a business owner. Yes, and that is with more marketing team, because I didn't know if Great Wolf Lodge is going to take me back. I didn't know what's going to happen.
Right.
So moving forward and pressing on onto different challenges as far as what I need to do, take care of the family and take care of myself, because you don't know financially, how is it going to go? So great. More marketing was born at the same time. Being active with the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce also helped me.
Right.
So to the team of Great Wolf Lodge, more marketing team, the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce. It's just amazing that now we're into this current time, and I feel that these are all blessings that came from up there.
If we can drill out a little deeper, because I want to hear more from you. I mean, considering the environment that we're in, right? Because we brought this up, and I wanted to ask you about this. So obviously with the pandemic and its effect on the hospitality industry, I mean, just business in general, just around the time of 2020 was just, obviously wasn't the greatest, right? And yet you said that during that time, you started your own business, which is the more marketing team. And so we'd love to hear more about like what led you to do that, considering the current environment, because it was a very challenging environment. When we talk about adversity, we're not just talking about one setback. I mean, there's a difference between setback and adversity. Setback is just, we can say it's like one instance, hey, it happens, and then it's over. But when we talk about adversity, we're talking about a series of setbacks. And I mean, we all know, we all lived through it. It seems like 2020 was just a whole bunch of setbacks, one after the other. And yet you have gone out there and you had decided to make the decision to start your own business. Tell us a little bit more about, what led you to do that? Like, what was the thought process behind saying, hey, you know what? I know it's pretty challenging, but I want to step out and go into this new venture.
When they approached me and I got nominated to be Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce Board of Director.
They mean Garden Grove, the chamber.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So I oversee, still up to now, the social media aspect of the chamber and the postings and all the algorithms and all that. And they told me, say, Kit, you're already doing it. Why not create your own business? I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. And they're like, just do it. So it led from one thing after another, did a lot of research, did a lot of training online, learned everything about technology. Well, I do kind of learn about technology, but not that much, to a point that more marketing was born. And we did some videos, restaurant videos, to help the community through the mayor's office. And it's all a group effort of the board of directors. And right now I'm happy to say that, because of the pandemic, was able to grow myself, become a business owner, and at the same time, be a mom, be a friend, and just be, I think the best answer to that is just be true to yourself and be honest in whatever you do. Even if you end up putting your foot in your mouth because, hey, you did something wrong, hey, just admit it. Or if it was wrong, because where you are right now builds you from the adversities that come from the past.
If I can say enough, I'll throw it out to you, John. It's just, To me, that shows so much courage
Mm.
on your behalf for you doing that, but not just courage, but also initiative. Because again, 2020 was not an ideal environment to grow a business,
Right.
and yet, rather than saying, "Hey, you know what, man, I'm just kind of stuck where I'm at,"
right.
adversity. I mean, you literally, decided to not only take the initiative out of something that you're already doing, because again, another part of that is action, right?
Yeah.
And overcoming adversity. It's not just sitting pat and just waiting for things to happen. No, it's making things happen, which is what you did. But not just that, taking it a step further. And not only taking the initiative, but also having the courage to follow through. And that's, something that, we definitely admire for what you've done in that. Yes, I mean, what we do, it's not perfect,
No.
obviously, and there's still room for growth.
Right.
However, it begins with that first step, right? That first step that gets us to where we want to be and to what we want to do.
I just want to say
Yeah,
something as
please.
well with what happened over between social media and what we all have evolved into.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you would see something like a post or something that would upset you, be it a friend, a family, or a coworker. I learned something that write it down, go on your laptop and pour your heart in there, type it all in and all your aggravation, right?
Yeah.
And then the next day, don't post it. Read it. And if you think that you're making a fool out of yourself, don't do it. Think about it.
Yeah.
Listen, not just to the people around you, but listen to yourself. Because when you're doing something that you feel that it's not right, but it's the right thing to do, if you think twice, listen to your heart, but use your brains too. Because there's just so many things going on right now between the news, social media, and everything.
Right.
Don't get into it. Don't think about it first before you post anything, because you do not know. Every action that you make has its consequences.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, one of the things I liked, and as we were talking about it, and Steve, you and I have talked before about the idea of growth mindset, and clearly, Kit, you've shown that. It's so easy when we face those adversities, Steve, to just, like you said, lay down, and or that's life, and well, woe is me. But a leader looks at those and sees opportunity, and you didn't just say, "Oh, hospitality industry is going to be closed for." I don't think any of us knew it was going to be closed for as long as it was. And to just lay down and say, well, woe is me, I guess, I'll just float into oblivion and wait for things to come back. No, take an initiative and saying, what's the next step? What can I continue to do to grow? You learned, you took a step to become an entrepreneur. It's such an amazing thing as we think about it from a leadership perspective. And I know, Steve, that it really has a lot to do with mindset.
Yeah.
And when something faces us, how do we approach it? Do we look for ways to resolve and to move beyond it, or do we just lay and take it as it comes?
Definitely.
I would say to that is there's one thing in Dale Carnegie as far as how do you overcome all of these? It's prayers. When you pray and you put your faith in it, and you put your hope in, get a plan. It's not just faith, but you got to do something. You got to step out of that box, of that comfort zone, for you to be successful. And I think that's where how you overcome adversity.
Yeah. Thanks so much for mentioning one of Dale Carnegie's stress and management principles, which he does say, pray. But what I like about that, in addition to that, is like, have a plan. What is your next step of action? We're talking with Kit Gutierrez. She is the sales manager, also business owner of More Marketing Team, and here at the Great Wolf Lodge. And so if you have any questions, comments, please go ahead and put those in the chat, whether you're watching via LinkedIn or Facebook or even YouTube. We'd love to hear from you and see what questions or comments that you have, and we want to acknowledge those right here on the air. So I feel like this whole podcast, we've been talking about practices, right? We typically like to say, hey, what's that one practice that you'd like to give to? And I feel like throughout if you've been listening,
Yes.
I feel like this whole podcast have been just chock full of practices that you've been sharing with us, Kit. And we've just been so inspired by your story, especially these last 18 months. And so if we were to nail it down to one, I know that's going to be pretty tough because there were plenty. But if, for those that are listening right now, maybe they're going through adversity right now, whether it's, professional, maybe it's personal, but still it's affecting how they operate at work. And so, if there was one thing, and again, I know there's many, however, if there is one thing that you had the opportunity to pass on to leaders that are listening to you right now as it relates to them overcoming adversity, what would you say that one practice is they can do this week for them to make the move past that adversity and just become more resilient, not only professionals, but more resilient people?
I would say that cliche, nobody, it's not just you. It always has to be a team. You can't say it's all I. No, it doesn't. Whether it's your family or your team or as a leader, before making any decision, it's just me, my opinion, I always listen to my team, ask them, because there's always different perspective as to how things are happening, not just with work, with your family. If it's your family, sit down, talk about it, make a plan. If it's at work, it's something about guest service. Is it something about front office? Or is it something about finance? Or is it something about how the other departments correlates with each other?
Yeah.
If you sit down together and make a plan, and as a leader, have an open mind. When you have an open mind that you're not thinking about the answer while somebody's giving you a question. When somebody gives you a question and your mind is so enclosed to, like, that's my answer to that. And that person hasn't even finished their thought, and you're like saying everything already, then you get into an argument. But if you listen together, come up with a plan, write it down, you will get more results because it was a team effort that put you there together. And I think if you do that in any scenario, be it your household or your team, as long as everybody is on the same page and you all work together, you'll get to that goal as far as where you want to.
If I can back that up with what you said, and John, I want to hear from you on this as well, if you don't mind. So some of the research that we come up with just corroborates exactly what you said in terms of everybody coming together. We've done research as it relates to what builds resilience in employees. And so what we came up with is like highly resilient employees were more than twice as willing to consistently give their best efforts at work. So it was like 63% versus 27%. And then also less than half are likely to give up on their current employer and be in the process of looking for a job elsewhere. Meaning, if you think about, especially now with the great resignation and what we're going through, when we have those highly resilient employees, they're going to, and have those collaboration type sessions, as you mentioned, they're going to be less likely to look elsewhere and just remain with their current team and give their best effort at work.
Yeah, well, that's what we talk about, discretionary effort. So it's one thing for an employee to come and to punch in and punch out, but to not just do their job, but do it to the next level. And those are the things that thank you so much for sharing about, involving your team and using them and, using a cooperative of minds to be able to make those decisions. So thank you for that. And as we're closing up, one of the things we always like to share is how can people get a hold of you, but also talk to us a moment about what is this Great Wolf Lodge where we're at today, and why should someone want to come visit?
Well, if you're looking for events, meetings, group walks, galas, nonprofit, hey, call me.
I think she's done this once or twice.
But really, it's about having an event that is out of the box here at the lodge
Mm.
because we're an indoor water park. It's an 84-degree bath water, 365 days in a year, 105,000 square feet of water park fun.
Yeah.
So, by the way, December, don't forget Snowland, where we have the hotel turns to be very festive. We have snowfall. We have Santa. You know, who doesn't like Christmas? Come on, right? And if there's anything that that they need as far as events, catering, or group rooms, Great Wolf Lodge is the place to be.
That's great. We'll have contact information for you in the show notes, but also how can someone get a hold of you or what do they need to do if they're thinking about that?
Y'all can DM me. I'm on Snapchat, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce social media. I respond to all of them. Not to mention the Long Beach Educational School Board. I'm part of that too. Wow, I'm really like a little bit spread too thin, but I think it's about planning and scheduling and, you know. But yes, in order to reach me, my number, no, just DM me.
She's not too hard to find. Well, listen, Kit, we just want to say how much we appreciate having you. One of the things that we know about you is that you're always wanting to invest in the lives of others. More specifically, words of encouragement, positivity. We see that all on through LinkedIn. That's just one venue that you do that. But I know that we're connected on LinkedIn, and just the amount of inspirational and encouraging messages that you give, that you provide for us. It really is a blessing to all of us. And so who would have thought when we met like 4 years ago or whatever,
at an event, and we were like, wow,
that we were just kind of sitting next
California
to each other.
So
I think it was the HR conference, I believe, in Long Beach.
Yes, in Long Beach. Yes.
And we all said we were all impressed with this Kit lady. We're like, wow, she's amazing.
Exactly.
I forgot about that. Yes, it's right there. Totally.
It was just and I just knew that. I mean, it was just something that was preordained, and we're just so grateful that we have a chance to know you. And I encourage you, if you have any event whatsoever, check out the Great Wolf Lodge. Reach out to Kit Gutierrez. She'll be able to really assist you and really make sure that that event is successful from a location standpoint. And so, Kit, we want to say thank you to you for having us do this podcast here, and so on location. So we're very, very grateful to you. And as we just wrap up the show, so we've been talking about overcoming adversity, and so I've been making reference to a lot of statistics. And if you're registered for this particular event, we will send you the white paper with these statistics. In addition to other information around the idea of us becoming more resilient people and overcoming adversity, we will email that to you as well. And so in addition to that, if you have any questions or want to know how can I bring along my team and not only to be more resilient team members, but how can my leaders not only become more resilient, but also communicate and inspire others, we definitely have programs in which we can come alongside you and your team to assist you and to really create a culture of resilience moving forward. And so, John, any final words before we finish off this podcast?
We want to give a huge shout out to our Stitch Radio team, Brian and Joy, for making this happen on site, taking us on the road. So thank you guys. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you all for joining us again for this podcast. We're on the road here at the Great Wolf Lodge. Kit, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, managers light a fire under people while leaders light a fire in people. Have a great week.